Hello Inxpeople, welcome back to Sharinx. Hi Inxpeople, how are you guys? This episode is kind of special because today we have a special guest. Please welcome Kevin Thompson. Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi Mr. Kevin, welcome to Sharinx. Thanks for coming to Inxpeople. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Inxpeople, for those of you who don't know, Kevin is COO, Chief Operating Officer, of Global Sustainability Initiative, or GAZY, okay, that will have him responsible for advancing GAZY's internal organization and operations. Kevin Thompson has 25 years of executive career of diverse experience, and for 15 he have worked at IBM on multiple programs and policies. Most recently, Kevin served as the General Manager for Good Worldwide. Okay. Hi Kevin, I want to ask you some question. How important is data center for sustainability nowadays?
Well, it's critically important and going to be more important. And the reason for that is the emergence of artificial intelligence. The engines that power the tools that power our digital lives, all the work is done in the data center. And data centers historically have, as the demand for data center workloads has increased, well, so has the efficiency of data centers. So for many years, it was about a constant in terms of the energy demands of the sector. But what's changed is now about 20% of the workloads in data centers are coming from artificial intelligence. And that could be from ChatGPT on your phone to an application in a large company. And as more and more individuals and companies adopt AI is very computationally intensive. What that means is that in order to create generative artificial intelligence, what happens behind the scenes in a data center is much, much, much more intensive. I'll give you one example. So when you look at the amount of energy required for a typical Google search, you could look up on your phone a place to eat nearby, or a recipe for a meal, or who is the lead singer of the band for this song I really like. On average, that's about 0.3 kilowatt hours, which is a very small amount of energy. If you ask the same question to an artificial intelligence tool like ChatGPT, it's almost 3 kilowatt hours. So that's a difference of 10x. Now, the units are very small. A kilowatt hour is tiny. But when you multiply that over 8.5 billion searches a day, 365 days a year, the difference between a traditional Google search and a search done on an AI engine is the equivalency of the energy consumption of Ireland. And so these small changes in behavior by people and companies around the world moving towards AI solution is making the topic of data center sustainability rise to near the top of the issues facing the ICT sector, information and communications sector.
Okay, the second question. How do data center in Indonesia compare with this in other countries, Mr.?
Well, I think that the data center industry is both old and new. And so what I mean by that is there are a number of legacy data centers utilizing microprocessors, so the transistors in the machines that do all the work in the background. So there are some legacy data centers that they can't handle the workloads of artificial intelligence or some modern applications. But many parts of our society, they don't need high-end data centers. So the legacy data centers have been around for a long time, serving banks, financial institutions, healthcare providers, government agencies. But with the emergence of so many new consumer technologies, even watching YouTube on your phone, the the data centers required to stream large amounts of digital video need more modern technology. And so those data centers are still evolving in Indonesia. Now, keep in mind, you can draw data from Singapore, you can draw data from Malaysia, you can draw data from other, it doesn't have to be just in Indonesia. But I think we're seeing in Indonesia what we're seeing elsewhere around the world, which is an explosion in data centers. Not just individual companies, but also organizations like Amazon and Google and Facebook placing data centers in all of these geographies, Indonesia included, with massive amounts of computing power. Massive.
So massive. Okay. Given your extensive experience leading sustainability initiatives across various industries, how do you see the evolving role of data centers in driving environmental sustainability, particularly as the demand for cloud service and digital infrastructure continues to grow?
Well, I think everyone who engages with any sort of technology, which is virtually every human being on the planet, even my 83-year-old mother and my 8-year-old son, there is an increasing use of technology for increasingly complex tasks. So I think when I was growing up, video games were very, very basic. We had a thing called Pong, which was like it was just a ball bouncing around a screen in a little bar. Now, my 13-year-old son plays a game called Fortnite. I don't completely understand it, but he's on the phone talking to 8 of his friends in a multiplayer game environment with really sophisticated graphics. Imagine the game they're playing is actually being played on a data center. I mean, they're looking at it on their screens, but all of the interaction between, oh, I want my hand to go this way and my foot to go this way and I'm going to fly over there. All of those movements are commands that go to a data center, broadcast back to a graphical screen. And with the intensity and the emergence of all of these new tools, the issue of data center sustainability is quickly becoming one of the most critical issues for the digital economy. Because, and it's hard to engage on this because most people have no idea what a data center is, what it looks like, what's in it, who operates it, how big it is, how much electricity they use. It is all a mystery to most people. And so one of the unique challenges is, let's say we were dealing with milk. You can go to the store and see milk in the store, but most people can't go anywhere to look at a data center. So it's very hard to get people to care about something they can't see, they don't know anything about, and they don't know anyone involved in it. And so I think data center sustainability is both a critical issue on a technical level, but it's also a critical issue on a cultural level because people can't see it and they don't know about it. And so you have to find a way to communicate about data centers so that people can care about the issue in some meaningful way.
Okay. So Kevin, how has your role as COO of GAZY helped you drive sustainability efforts in high energy sectors like data center?
Well, we're an organization, so we're a nonprofit business association, and I've spent most of my career in the private sector. We mostly work with companies and the private sector, but on topics like data centers, it's a classic challenge of sustainability, which is you can't do it alone. There's many things that we can do as individuals, changing our behaviors, using public transit, shutting off unused lights at home. There are things that we can do as individuals to lower our carbon footprint, as people say. But when it comes to big, complicated issues like data centers, it's not a one company issue. It's not even a private sector issue. It's a cross-sector issue. And so what I mean by that is it's both companies, it's regulators and the government, it's the energy and utility sector, because data centers are huge consumers of electricity. one of the challenges Indonesia is facing is much of the energy produced that powers your country is coal. Coal is one of the most polluting sources of energy out there. And so, but Indonesia is not alone. In the United States, we still have a lot of electricity produced by coal. But you hear these conversations about renewable energy, and that could range from solar panels to wind farms. Indonesia is talking about geothermal, which is bringing the heat up from deep below the ground and having that power turbines. I think you're also beginning to see the return of nuclear energy as a source of energy, in large part to power data centers, because they are such huge consumers of electricity.
In light of today's your discussion on data centers and environmental sustainability, what key actions do you believe stakeholders should prioritize to accelerate the transition to more sustainable data center operations?
Well, I think like anything, you have to start with awareness, and you have to agree on what the problem is, and then you have to agree, is this a problem that matters? And so our session this morning really focused on that. It was the first step in a long journey. But you have to start and agree on, do we actually have a problem here? I think the answer, or do we have a challenge? And I think the answer to that question is a universal yes. We do have a problem, we do have a challenge. The encouraging news is that the digital sector and the ICT community has faced similar challenges, where the demands of a technology have a huge societal cost in energy, in materials, in critical minerals, whatever the inputs. In this instance, it's really about energy. And we've solved this problem before as an industry. We're confident we'll solve the problem again. But we're not going to solve the problem by doing nothing and just saying, okay, well, I think it's an issue, but I'll just wait for the government to tell me what to do. That's not going to help anybody. So awareness is the first step. And then I think it's really critically important for industry to develop a point of view. So what is the roadmap that industry is going to follow to start to establish criteria, guidelines, certifications, trainings, other types of mechanisms so that more people can be involved in the solution? So that's the industry track. Then there's also a regulator track. How can the government get involved? The government may pass regulations that create minimum standards of performance. But on the other end of the equation, I think government has an important role in incentivizing industry to move in a direction of more efficiency and less energy consumption. And so regulators also need to be part of the equation. And then I would say there are other participants that matter too. Academia, researchers coming in and evaluating the problem, quantifying it, communicating what the issues are. Industry associations, similar to what GeSI is, helping multiple organizations make the transition to cleaner energy and a greener computing future. Those movements are done by industry associations. And then I would say there's also different stakeholder groups. Activists play a role. People that are in communities impacted by data centers are getting upset about it. They're taking all the energy. Sometimes there's a huge amount of water used by the data center industry. And so people speaking up and using their voice as citizens, I think, is also an actor in getting towards a solution. So it's no one entity, but if the private sector and industry wants to have a control over their future, they have to demonstrate leadership. And that's what we were really advocating for today and what we'll continue advocating going forward.
Oh, very, very thank you, Mr. Kevin. Okay, Kevin, thank you for coming to Inxpeople in our program, Sharinx. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to closing, okay. It's been a pleasure learning from your experiences and understanding the important steps we need to take to create a more sustainable future in the digital space. We truly appreciate your time and expertise. Wishing you continued success in your work at GAZY and beyond. Thank you once again. Inxpeople excellent, be expert with Inxpeople.
Inxpeople excellent, be expert with Inxpeople.